Hi, and welcome to another edition of eCW Podcast. We're coming to you as part of a series from the virtual national conference. I'm your host, Brian Saul, and with me today is Ruth Murphy. She's with Internists Associates in Ridley Park, Pennsylvania. Thanks for being with us, Ruth. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, Brian.
Before we get started, could you talk a little bit about your practice in general and what you guys do?
Sure. We're internal medicine, primary care doctors in Ridley Park. We have 4 doctors, 1 PA, and 3 doctors. We have about 8,800 patients in our practice.
It's a solid census, no doubt.
Yeah.
So let's start, I guess, at the beginning, and that would be March of this year when so much changed in the world. When COVID really hit, particularly, in the Northeast where we are, I'm coming to you from outside of Boston. How did that affect your practice?
Our practice actually shut the doors on March 16th. And our platform that we're on, eCW, everything was set up there. So we could go right into telehealth on March 16th. We never stopped seeing our patients. We've seen them on telehealth up until June, until we opened our doors back up to our patients.
So, but you were able to, it's pretty fascinating, you were able to still continue to see patients using telehealth during that very difficult time, which for internal medicine is so important because you don't want people to fall behind in any of their normal routine checkups and so forth that they need to do. Now, it's been since mid-August or so since we last spoke to you. What's changed since then? You've reopened, but now you're using some additional eCW technology on top of telehealth visits. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, that's the virtual check-in. And that has actually helped a lot. It limits the patients coming into the office. It cuts down on our waiting room. So the patients do everything online at check-in. They get a text message, they hit the link, they answer a lot of questions there. We make sure they're okay to come into the office without COVID because we don't want COVID patients coming into the office and exposing everyone in our waiting room. They can pay their copay, so it limits the time that they're at the front desk. And it's worked very well. The patient flow is a lot better than even before COVID, when they're just coming in and you have sometimes 6 patients standing in line. We don't have that anymore. There is no line.
Was it difficult to set up? Did you have any trouble getting it ready to go?
Not at all. Not at all. We opened the office on the 22nd. By the 26th, we had the virtual check-in, and it was easy. I had a team from eCW walk through the entire week with me. So it was quite simple. And the patients, they got the text message, and it explained right there. Like we would tell them they're getting a text message, but everything was explainable when they received that text message and what they needed to do.
So you were using questionnaires then. Were you using anything beyond, say, like the normal COVID respiratory questions, or did you just stick with it?
Oh, no, we added our questionnaires that we ask our patients prior to COVID, like the smoking and other health-related issues. So everything's done there, and like I said, it's less contact in the office.
Oh, that's fantastic, and it's a feeling of safety for both the patients and for your own staff. So that's just a great addition to your quiver full of technology there. Now, the patients themselves, how did they take to it? I mean, it sounds as if they kind of readily adopted it. But did you have any? I guess I would say startup issues that came along with it.
I would say no. Just like our telehealth, everyone adapted to it. All the patients, they knew that things were going to change. Everything's changed everywhere. But I think our office was more ready because of the platform we're on, because of eCW. They had everything right there, and it made it so simple for the patients to just get used to it. The patients that didn't, get used to it are the patients that don't have a cell phone and they're not really good on the computer. And that we're still doing the regular check-in for those patients.
Sure. And you're still doing telehealth visits, is that true?
Absolutely. Yep.
Now, as I don't want to be too optimistic, but as we start to wind down possibly with COVID, as we get closer to a vaccine, let's say in 6, 8, 10 months, whenever it actually comes around, do you foresee your practice continuing to use telehealth visits?
I don't think it would be a bad thing. It would be good for patients bringing in the flu, say, or more COVID symptoms, and so you're keeping the patient out of the office that could spread the flu in the office. I can see it being helpful for those times. It would be up to the insurance companies, though, paying for them.
Yeah. Yeah, that ultimately is the key, isn't it? What CMS and the insurance companies decide to do ultimately. Yeah. Now, when we talk about telehealth, naturally, one of the things that we always begin with is the patient experience. And I think that as you've explained, it's pretty easy for a patient to be able to use the telehealth system. They can access it via a text message. They can use the patient portal. They can use the healow app. They can use an email that they get. So there's a myriad of different ways that the patients can get into the telehealth visit, which is great. But my follow-up question to that is, how are the providers adapting to it, I should say? Have they embraced it? Are they having issues with it? How are they doing?
The providers have embraced it. They wanted to get their patients back into the office. So anything they could do to get their patients back, seeing them instead of just all in telehealth, they were happy. And they're happy to see that not all the patients are in our waiting list, that they're in and out. The flow is so much nicer. They don't have patients waiting an hour anymore like they used to. It's just a nicer flow. It really is. And this is always going to be the new norm here with the check-in process.
Mm-hmm. So as part of the check-in process, one of the things that really hasn't been discussed at length so much has been the ability to collect copays and patient balances via the contactless check-in process. Are you utilizing that?
Absolutely. The patients are, yes. So when they do the check-in process, that's the first thing they do is pay their copay. I find they're paying copays even when they don't have to pay a copay, because you don't have to pay a copay for the flu shot, but they're still paying it. But it's okay. We can delete that when they get here, and that's fine. So they do appreciate that as well.
And I'm sure the practice does too, because it keeps your AR days a little bit down as well. Cash is king right now, and having that cash flow is certainly so very important to practices. One of the things that you guys have done that is really great is that you've been able to really adapt very quickly to a number of new technologies that all of a sudden were just there, that you had to use or chose to use. And by working together within your practice, you were able to make that come to fruition and really help your practice, and most importantly, help your patients.
Yes, absolutely. And I think it helps because everything was all there for us. We had the platform already. We knew eCW, and it was just more things that we got to utilize in that platform, which made it so easy.
That's great. That is fantastic. Again, Ruth, any final thoughts that you might have in regards to what's been going on and what's continuing to go on and what's going to be going on?
Yes, I just think we're just going to adapt. Every day is a new day, and what we have to do to make things easier and safer.
And that's kind of what eCW is trying to do as well with our whole reinvent your practice process that we're going through right now. And I'm sure you've had a chance to look at some of that as well. If not, I highly suggest you go out and take a look at eCW University or some of the webinars that we have out there for Reinvent Your Practice. Again, Ruth, I want to thank you for being with us. It's been really, really great to talk to you, and I wish you all the best with your practice and hope that everybody there stays safe.
Thank you, Brian.
And hopefully next year we will see you at an in-person National Users Conference and have a quick cocktail.
Sounds good. Thanks.
So, folks, if you're interested in seeing more eCW podcasts, you can find them on iTunes, YouTube, and of course on my.eclinicalworks.com. Thanks for joining us today. Stay safe. And as always, I'm Brian Saul. Bye-bye.